Now, is Africa being punished for its transparency? Well, that's the debate taking place currently as nations impose travel bans on southern Africa. This comes after the South African scientists flagged the existence of a new COVID-19 variant, now officially named the Omicron by the World Health Organization. To weigh in on this debate, I'm joined via Zoom by international relations expert Dr. Charles Sinkala. Dr. Sinkala, thank you very much for your time. You know, I don't think there's anyone who hasn't expressed a view, whether it be privately or publicly, on the world's reaction to the announcement of the new variant. What was your initial reaction to that announcement and the subsequent travel bans?
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Fundo, and good afternoon to your viewers. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, you know, having followed the way South Africa has handled the COVID-19, you know, I had little shock that the world has done this. As my business is international relations, I've been traveling in different countries in the continent. I just came from Nigeria as well. You know, I could see the blunt of during the lockdown restrictions, and between 2020 March and August last year, South Africa was banned by 128 countries. It had very bad restrictions in terms of traveling. And this never came that as a big shock to me.
But then now, I know I watched an interview on BBC of Dr. Alowade Alakaji. She sparks a very powerful debate on where COVID in essence originated and how that country being China was treated and how we could have possibly been treated as a continent had it originated here. Now, obviously, she's basing this on the response that we're seeing currently. Then it begs the question, Doctor, what is at play here? Is it science or geopolitics where it could be easier to close off Africa, which might not necessarily be a strategic partner for some, but unthinkable to have closed off an emerging superpower such as China or any other country for that matter?
Yes, indeed. Many mixed things or dynamics are getting involved now. Science is no longer in charge of COVID-19 and all the health matters that we have in the world. That's evident. Be it somebody might call it conspiracy theory or not, but that's the way it is. But for the case of South Africa, you know, they should have handled it in the way that is more less treasonous than the way they have handled it, because they are the first ones to announce that there's a variant. From the first variant, second variant, third variant, now the fourth variant, you know, they are the first one to announce that we have this, and the world has reacted back to that. If we talk about China, I'm very happy that you've talked about China as the origin of COVID-19 pandemic. You know, the way they handled the whole discovery in Wuhan province in China, they handled it very well. You can see also and remember that Donald Trump at that time, when he was a United States of America president, even wanted to suspend the World Health Organization for treating China very nicely. It's because of the professionalism into the whole command council being faced with such a tragedy. They looked at the consequences. How will the world think that this virus was found here, and how do we react? How do we treat? You can hear that they were on record for erecting a hospital in 5 days, you know, and many other things which has followed. And information is controlled. You know, it's not only, yes, I'm aware that the World Health Organization requires, it's a mandate by all member states in the world who are affiliated to the World United Nations. It's a charter that they signed that health matters or any other matters relating to health must be declared. But there is some information as well. Each and every country has got a constitution that they should delay or maybe keep some information to some stage before they analyze the situation. So South Africa now, yes, it is in this predicament because it is a kid on the block who's been very much announcing that we get a virus. Yes, other countries has weighed in because they are protecting the citizens. And it's not only that South Africa is the first country which has had these variants. We've seen already Australia, Germany, and many other countries. But at what stage do you announce? You know, because now, because of the vaccines, all these vaccines, now these mutations, of this virus are taking the toll. So we should not blame the world for South Africa doing that. And I think the damage control is how do we look after the consequences of what we say to the world, because it's what they give back to us.
I like that you say that this will lead to other countries probably not acting so swiftly to disclose and first verifying. But here we had a South Africa that was prompt and decided to say we need the world to know. But look at the outcome. It would discourage many. You also touch on the Trump element, which I quite like, because many thought he was very reckless in his approach with China at the beginning. Many said that type of rhetoric where it was somewhat protectionist was irresponsible and myopic, because we are a global village. We need to coexist and work with each other in terms of the economy. But then here we are now, again, that debate around the simplicity or the ease with which many are looking to close off Africa. Clearly, one would say that it speaks of us not necessarily being a strategic partner, because it surely shouldn't be so easy to just close borders and leave us out as a continent.
No, well, if your house is contagious, there's a very dangerous disease. I will close my doors to your children and anybody who comes from you, including the cats that I love. It's because you have announced that in your house you've got this contagious disease. So now should I risk my house or my kids or anybody who lives within my house to expose them to your house? No. So we shouldn't be looking at that the world, yes, we have bilateral and multilateral relationships with other countries. They will treat us fairly nicely, even if we have leprosy or other contagious diseases. No, but the question is, how do we deal with the things that we discover in the country? You know, at what stage should we announce that we've got this? The Command Council, which includes the President as a chairperson, you know, we've got very high hopes and faith that they make the right decision at the right time to protect the citizens from further disgrace such as this that we are going through. And I've got no doubt that the all scientists who are presiding over this, they must rather fight for the discovery of the cure, which we are indeed doing in Port Elizabeth at Pfizer factory, you know, rather than discovering the variants in the sense of announcing to the world. Yes, the world shall reject us if we look so contaminated. But again, other people will say we are being victimized or being called names like this because of being transparent, of which the South African government have come out very strongly to do that. Yes, it is entitled to do that because it's a constitutional agreement with the United Nations, which is World Health Organizations for countries to declare the status of diseases such as the COVID-19. But at what stage do we come in? It is something that we have to think about it in a way that is very professional, and we look at the consequences, especially when you look at the damage of the lockdowns restrictions from 2019 and 2020, how the tourism industry has been handcuffed, and how the world has rejected South Africans from trading, the impact on the economic of fiscus, as well as all things which are happening. If we compare as well to other countries, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Nigeria, how are they reacting to variants? How are they handling the COVID-19 pandemic? It's something that we have to look up to, for us to be in the position of being known.
Now, Dr. Sinkala, just listening to your arguments around what stage, I am inclined to believe that you possibly are of the view that we prematurely announced. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yeah, correct. It's very premature. We must handle this COVID pandemic very professionally and at the right time. We are not the only one in the world. We've seen the COVID pandemic and the impact, how it does. We have seen as well the recoveries and the vaccination process which has been carried on in the country. We know the impact of people are recovering. We know that this disease is something that we can live with, I don't know for how long, until we find the cure for it. So how do we react to such things like that? Not merely going on the TV there as a Minister of Health and saying, yes, we've got another variant, without also putting into consideration what impact will we bring once we announce that. I mean, Australia, yes, they have announced, but they don't have this type of restrictions which they have. And already, like I mentioned, by last year, 128 countries ban South Africans and other nationalities to do business with the traveling arrangements with them. And the Minister of Tourism, Lindiwe Sisulu, she's been begging countries. I see her all the time going to countries to lift up those bans so that they can be trading. A few countries only was lifted, I think, last week or last month, if I'm not mistaken. But again, we go back from the Command Council to create another damage. So we want another damage control to make sure that South Africa is recognized as a country which looks after its citizen and which contains the viruses. It is indeed such a disgrace by the whole entire Command Council, and I think they must review their strategy if they have to partner with the world.
No, Dr. Sinkala, unfortunately,
Yes.
we've run out of time, but thank you very much for your insights. That was international relations expert Dr. Charles Sinkala weighing in on the global community's reaction to the discovery of the new Omicron variant, first flagged by South Africa. And he's saying it might have been premature to announce